Okay, shalom, everybody. This was not something that I was planning on doing today, but time is of the essence, and so we decided to go ahead and do this. But first of all, I have to preface this with this: Ani Judaism is in no way associated with politics. We constantly talk about how it is that in Pirkei Avos it says to not become overly familiar with politicians. But when you are at a time within society like we are in today, a time within the world, well, there are things that are happening and things that are at play, and certain things that are threatening to the Jewish people, to our way of life, and to the upholding of the Torah. We do at times have to take action. Okay. We are not going to be, this is not, again, we don't engage in politics, really. We don't. One of the things that is great about all of our archives and video and MP3 form, by the way, start sharing this because there's going to be an exclusive thing that is going to be talked about on here that you have not seen. Okay. The October surprise you're going to get here. Okay. So go ahead and start sharing this around. I see we got a lot of people watching right now. And this is why it is that you guys see me at 10:30 at night going and giving this. But, to go back to what I was saying, in terms of Ani Judaism, one of the things that you will see is that within our archives and all that stuff, you will be able to watch a video or listen to one of our radio broadcasts at any given time, and it's still relevant because we teach the Torah of Hashem. We teach about the Mashiach Yeshua. We are constantly focused on the times of the first century and pre-first century. But we have a piece of audio and video here that you guys have probably not seen. And this is what prompted me to go, and I'm going to discuss. Well, first of all, let me go ahead and say, Ani Judaism, in terms of the North American region, we are indeed endorsing Donald J. Trump as our presidential candidate. Okay. We understand that there are people within our synagogues, different rabbis as well, that have their own political persuasion. We are not going to hinder that in any way, shape, or form. We are also not 501c3. So one of the great things about being 501c3 is that we can give a presidential endorsement. The reasons why it is that we did that is not because of any sort of wacky conspiracy theory or anything like that, but the reason why it is that we decided not to be 501c3 is because of the fact that, first of all, we don't agree with establishing covenants with a secular society. Okay, we don't we don't engage in those type of things, saying we want some benefit from the secular society and all that stuff by getting something like 501c3. You will see what has happened to the congregations up in Canada because of doing that. There are certain things that people who get organizations that get tax credits or nonprofit status up there in Canada cannot preach on certain things that are within that of the Torah of Hashem. And though it is that we are confident in Donald J. Trump as our president here in the United States, we realize that he's not always going to be the one that has our back. So why get into bed with somebody that like a Bernie Sanders, who's a humanist, But let me go in and first of all discuss why it is that that we are endorsing Donald J. Trump. Okay, we could talk about economic things, but economics have nothing to do with Judaism. These are things that affect us as a Jewish community and that affect our Christian brethren as well at the same time. Obviously, one of the things is indeed abortion. That's one of the big things. Another thing that's not often talked about is that this organization, Black Lives Matter, that if you go to their website, click on their donate tab, it takes you to a website called Project Blue. What does Project Blue do? Has nothing to do for black individuals, has nothing to do with people of different races or skin colors or any of that stuff. It's funneling money into the hands of people like Joe Biden. What does that have to do with anything? Well, Black Lives Matter has sent out anti-Semitic flyers talking about the crimes of the Jews and Jewish privilege and all of these things. The leader of Black Lives Matter has said to burn down synagogues. On top of all of that, and this is an organization that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, this is an organization that they endorse. Thirdly, actually, we went over abortion, Black Lives Matter. The third thing is when you look at the Democratic governors. Over here in North Carolina, we have Governor Roy Cooper, who is one of these, who has blamed the Jews for the spread of the coronavirus, said that it was because of a synagogue in Charlotte that the virus had spread. And then up over in New York, you have Mayor de Blasio, who is not putting restrictions on anybody else but that of the Jewish community. And so this is something that directly affects us. Whenever it is that mask mandates, which Joe Biden supports a mask mandate, when you have a certain piece of clothing or something like that that is required of an individual, it reminds us of the 1940s in Germany, where we would have to wear a patch of the Star of David in order to receive, to be able to go to the grocery store, to be able to receive medications, to see a doctor, any of those things, we would have to have those patches. This is way too reminiscent of those things. We always say, never again. But yet, this particular group, Joe Biden, is pushing these particular things. The list can go on and on and on. But if you haven't shared this video yet, go ahead and share it now, because we are going to play some audio and video that you have not seen or heard yet. Most of you have not. I've noticed that the mainstream media has not picked up on this, but there was something else within that laptop, and former Mayor Rudy Giuliani has the text messages. He has the text messages, so go ahead and start sharing this now. Joseph says, good call. They blame the Black Plague on the Jews as well. Absolutely. And also, think about this. Joe Biden's platform is almost word for word the same platform, except for 2 articles which differ. Only 2 articles out of a ton. Word for word almost, of the platform of the Nazi Party in Germany of 1940s. So, let us go ahead and roll this clip that you have not seen yet.
Let's face it, it's Biden, the father, who's on the ballot in 2 weeks. Anything else other than what we've seen so far tying him to Hunter's business?
Yeah, 2 major things that I found. In addition to this, which basically says that Biden was getting 50% of the bribe money, which makes sense actually. There's a well, this is really a very, very sensitive one. There's a text message to his father in which he says the following, and he's discussing his sister-in-law, who for quite some time was his lover. And he says, she told my therapist that I was sexually inappropriate. This would be with a unnamed 14-year-old girl. When she says that I FaceTime naked with the unnamed 14-year-old girl, and the reason I can't have her out to see me is because I'll walk around naked smoking crack, talking tom girls on FaceTime. When she was pressed, she said that the unnamed 14-year-old girl never said anything like that, but the bottom line is that I created and caused a very unsafe environment for the kids. This is supported by numerous pictures of underage girls.
So, Mr. Mayor, that's dynamite stuff, and I've seen it.
I turned it over to the
You turned it over to the Delaware State Police, correct?
Yes, yesterday. Bernie Kerik and I turned it over to the Delaware State Police because we're very uncomfortable with this. So we're very uncomfortable with the fact that these underage girls were not protected.
Okay. Many of you have not seen that clip. You do not see this being talked about by any of the major media outlets. Now, this right here is the reason why it is that I decided to go on here as I was trying to get some sleep. Went and got dressed and said, okay, I have to do this. You realize here that these are text messages going back and forth between Joe Biden's son and himself. And we have Hunter Biden saying to his father that he has been engaging in sexual activity with a 14-year-old girl. And there are pictures on his laptop as well of other underage kids. Now, the thing with this is that, first of all, the vice president, Joe Biden, legally speaking, is an accomplice because he never reported this to that of the Delaware authorities. If you knew of somebody who has taken advantage sexually of a 14-year-old girl, 14 years old, and you decided not to go and report it to the police, one of our students who's watching right now, Joseph, actually is a police officer. And I would like to see what it is that Joseph, what exactly in the state that he is in, which I believe Joseph is in Arizona. I would like to know in Arizona if somebody has knowledge of somebody, going and sexually abusing or sending naked pictures to a 14-year-old, but they do nothing about it. My question is, how much time do they get, usually in prison, for this very thing? First of all, you can disagree on politics. You can disagree on economic models. Heck, us Jews don't agree on hardly anything outside of halakha. But one of the things that I think that we can all agree on is protecting children. Protecting children. And what we have here is former Vice President Joe Biden saying that this 14-year-old girl does not matter. Does not matter. President Trump has also gone and put prayer back into school. You would not be able to, before, you would not be able to walk into a high school, middle school, junior high school. For the states that still have junior high schools, an elementary school with the Torah, with the Ketuvim, with the Nevi'im, or with Brit Hadashah. You wouldn't be able to do it. President Trump signed an executive order so that your child can bring his Chumash to shul, so he can bring his Siddur to school, so he can pray during school as well, so that it is that you can pray in school. President Trump has done that. And this is why it is that we are endorsing in the North American region of Ani Judaism International, we are endorsing President Donald J. Trump because of these things as well as a whole slew of others. Our freedom to be able to exercise the Torah, to not put ourselves back under the authority that we were under throughout all the biblical times. When we had occupation from the Romans and all those things, we have to protect the children. We have to protect our way of life. That is the reason why it is that we are endorsing Donald J. Trump. That's the reason why we are endorsing him. Not because of anything else, but it's because of our religious service, and for us to be able to essentially be Jews. Joseph answered my question here. He says, it would be a crime for a mandatory reporter not to report it. However, Biden having knowledge of this, and if he helps cover it up, could be criminally charged as well. Okay, yeah, see, and that's what I was what I was wondering, and I'm wondering what exactly the sentence would be for that as well. So it does seem that the former vice president is in legal hot water as well. However, I don't know if this is something that he will be able to snake his way out of. God only knows. And this will really really expose how deep that deep state really is. But this was just a short little thing here. For those who haven't seen that clip, make sure to go and share this around. And for those who are wondering why it is a religious organization who is not engaged in politics is endorsing a candidate for president, go and send them this video. All right? Shalom bracha, Shavua Tov, and peace and a blessing to all of you. All right? Shalom.